What's up, everyone? I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we jump into the news, of course, couple quick things. Shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a couple of different services, one of which is to obtain a Canadian or US dollar loan using your Bitcoin as collateral, and the second of which is a Bitcoin savings account where you can earn interest on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. For either of those, check out the link down below, and if you do utilize it to get yourself a loan with the link I've provided, they'll credit you with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin into your account. And secondly, if you are into Bitcoin, then privacy should be of the utmost importance to you. One of the things I use is NordVPN. I've got this on my computer and phone, obviously, and it does a few things. It helps you mask your IP address, encrypt your browsing data, and it has the added benefit of unlocking geo-blocked content. So if there's something you can't access, you can change your country of origin, and that will help you get access. So if you sign up with the link down below, they'll give you 75% off. Ends up being about $3 a month. And with that, let's dive into the news. So, Joe Kernen on CNBC has been the darling of Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoiners, crypto people, Bitcoin maximalists, pretty much everybody as of late, as he continues to sing praises for Bitcoin. Well, he threw out a random number the other day on the show. He was saying that he thinks that it's possible that Bitcoin could hit 55,000 US dollars prior to the halving event next year. So those of you uninitiated that are new to Bitcoin, what's the halving? Well, essentially the issuance of newly created coins is cut in half every 4 years, roughly, and that event happens again next year. So currently 12.5 Bitcoin are created every 10 minutes or so, and that number will be cut to 6.25 as of May of 2020. The exact date is not set. It depends on how many miners are mining Bitcoin and so on and so forth, a myriad of factors, but around May 2020 next year. Now, there has typically been some bullish price action in and around the halving time, but I'm skeptical of whether we're going to see that much of a price pump, especially prior to the halving. I consider the halving to be a bit of a lagging indicator, or not a lagging indicator, but it has a lagging effect on the price increase. Reason for that is leading up to the halving and including the halving, when it happens, all of the Bitcoin that are currently on the market, so people that are reselling or trading or whatever, that Bitcoin is all still there. That's all still available. So the current supply remains constant. It's the new coins coming onto the market every 10 minutes that are cut. And so initially, that's not a lot. Every 10 minutes, 6.25 less Bitcoin available. So not a big deal. But over time, that pinch is felt, and I think that tends to drive prices up from there, assuming that people continue to find utility in Bitcoin and continue to want to use it. So I mean, more than doubling our previous all-time high prior to the halving, I think is a little ambitious, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some spikes or some gradual rises in anticipation of that event next year. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Moving on to the next one, actually also CNBC related, they had Anthony Pompliano, or Pomp, from Off the Chain podcast, as well as Demir's Meltem, who recently was speaking in the U.S. Senate testimony in relation to the Facebook Libra launch and all of that. They were talking about regulations, and Anthony Pompliano was talking about how it's actually a positive thing, and how Singapore, who is pretty much one of the most out ahead of the pack countries as far as regulation and clarity goes, he says that they're actively welcoming businesses and people to come there and utilize this stuff. He says that anybody that fully embraces Bitcoin first as a country, everybody else is going to be playing catch up in a way as far as industry goes and even as far as accumulation goes. While on the other side of that, Demirs was talking about cautioning versus intermediaries. She finds it kind of ironic that the whole idea of Bitcoin is to remove intermediaries, be it whether it be somebody that's holding money for you, or in this case, the regulators, right? The whole point of Bitcoin was to go around the system, and now everybody's kind of getting all chummy and excited when the regulators say, yeah, we'll allow this. Really, it should be looked at the other way around. This is happening. Come along for the ride if you like. Otherwise, everything else just gets steamrolled, more or less. So, I mean, she says here that the whole movement is about eliminating our dependence on intermediaries. We see large-scale systemic risk coming from these large institutions, and so the idea of Bitcoin doing away with these intermediaries is a good one, but we become more and more dependent on intermediaries than ever. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of liked her points a little bit better than Pomp's in this one. They're both bullish on Bitcoin itself, but one is leaning towards regulation is good, and one is leaning towards it doesn't matter, it's just going to happen. So I understand the need for businesses that are trying to operate in a certain locale to need to at least, at a minimum, kind of abide by the laws of the land. I understand that if a business doesn't do that, well, they're no longer a business anymore. But I also do like a little bit of the permissionless nature of Bitcoin. That's what drew people, and myself included, to it in the first place. And so I don't think that we should ignore the fact that at the end of the day, whatever the regulations are, Bitcoin is going to continue to exist, and people that want to use it in certain ways will do so regardless. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the world from locale to locale decides to tackle this issue. Now, moving on here, blockchain, formerly blockchain.info. Now, this is a wallet that I am not a big fan of, which we'll get into in a moment, but the blockchain wallet is one of the most widely downloaded wallets in the world, and they are now launching an online exchange. It's called the Pit, and initially it's going to launch with 26 different crypto assets because shitcoin casinos are fun, I guess. I don't know, outdoing Coinbase here. But yeah, so it sounds like you'll be able to kind of connect your blockchain.info wallet to the exchange and do quick trades that way and kind of retain custody more regularly than you would with a normal exchange. At least that's my understanding here, but it's kind of vague. So take that with a grain of salt. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of the blockchain.info wallet because they were one of the key players when it came to the scaling wars back in 2017. They were big proponents of the SegWit 2x fork, where they wanted to more or less fork away from the current implementation of Bitcoin, create something new, add in their own developers along with a number of other companies, and essentially say this is what Bitcoin is now. Now, as we've seen, the market more or less completely rejected that, and not only that, but the software itself ran into a catastrophic bug shortly after launch anyways when somebody went ahead with it. Not to mention that the wallet itself, blockchain.info, has still failed to implement SegWit. Guys, it's been like 2 years. Anyways, so no SegWit on their wallet. Now, it should be mentioned, now I saw obviously Vortex, or at the one Vortex on Twitter, he called them out on this, and there was a reply from them saying that, well, listen, all deposit and withdrawal addresses will be the wrapped SegWit, or the 3 addresses, so on and so forth. But still, no word on the actual wallet itself. So, I don't know, guys. Do better. This isn't really of interest to me. I mean, if some of you are big into trading alts, then maybe you have something else to play around with. It is. I will say it is nice if they do a custody solution where you're not having to leave coins with them. If that's a little bit more, hold your own keys kind of thing, as it would be linked with the wallet, then that is a good development, and I'm happy to see that. But as a whole, I'm not currently super interested in anything blockchain.info is doing. So anyways, we'll move on. Last thing here, Facebook has admitted that Libra project may never actually launch. And this is in response to kind of the pushback that they've been met with from governments and regulators, not only in the US, but around the globe. So here's the quote that I'll read here. Libra has drawn significant scrutiny from governments and regulators in multiple jurisdictions, and we expect that scrutiny to continue. In addition, market acceptance of such currency is subject to significant uncertainty. As such, there can be no assurance that Libra or our associated products and services will be made available in a timely manner or at all. We do not have significant prior experience with digital currency or blockchain technology, which may adversely affect our ability to successfully develop and market these products and services. So, more or less, they're just saying, we don't fucking know what's going on. We'll see what happens. Ready in 2 weeks, trademark. They just don't know, right? They've got to sit through all these Senate hearings that you hear other countries around the globe saying a mix of sit down and talk with us all the way to no fucking way. So what's going to happen with Libra? If I had to guess, if it launches, then it will be a neutered version of what it had promised to be, and in such will not present much of an advantage over something like PayPal or Venmo, and it will become even clearer why Bitcoin is important, because Facebook goes to Senate hearings. Bitcoin doesn't have to go to Senate hearings. Pomp. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're new here, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and share. If you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up either of the sponsors down below, Ledn and NordVPN. Links for those are in the show notes. And if you really like what you saw, you can always drop a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. And with that, I am out. I will see you guys tomorrow for your daily session.